Hi. As you can tell up in the corner, I've already started building the first backplane strip. It's going to take me a little bit of time, so I've got a little bit different format planned for this video, where I'm going to do insets as I am building this 10 times the speed all the way through this. The first order of business is to get the capacitors on the back. Now these are 47 microfarad capacitors, and these are for decoupling at each of the power junctions of each register into the backplane. So this is to give me just a little bit extra power decoupling so that I have a reserve, if you will, if anything starts to draw significantly. Here we go. Hi, my name is Adam. I'm building a 16-bit computer from scratch. I hope you'll join me on this journey. I'm having a heck of a time with these capacitors on the black solder mask. I just cannot see the solder and whether or not I've got a good connection. So I'm going to have to figure out how to test that, or at least dig out the microscope at some point and take a look at those. Okay, I start off here by grabbing some pins and sticking them in the sockets in an attempt to make sure that I get the boards to remain aligned. I start with the outside corners just to make sure that I have everything supported well, but quickly realize that the center of the PCB is sagging, and therefore I need to get some support in there as well. So what happened here is I only soldered 2 pins from the socket header onto the breadboard, and when I went to pull the alignment pins that I was using out of the socket, it actually pulled the socket off the pins, the 2 pins that were soldered onto the breadboard. So I had to extricate those and start over and make sure I soldered everything down before I tried to remove the pins again. As you can imagine, getting everything lined up properly is quite fussy. It takes me several attempts to do that, and I later realized that the more sockets and pins I try to get aligned, the more difficult it is. Well, unfortunately, I lost quite a bit of video here. I managed to pause it so that I could go holler at the dogs. I never unpaused it. As I pick back up, I've learned a few things about the procedure that makes life a little bit easier. Number one, if you start kind of from the center and work your way out, now it's good to get a couple of pieces in place in order to register, or basically to register everything so it stays straight. It works out really well. So a couple of pieces in the corners just to make sure that you can register everything uniformly. And then from there, start at the center of what you're working on and kind of working concentric circles on the way out. Only doing 3 or 4 sockets at a time. And then the most fiddly things are the smaller ones. So the 2-position power are the hardest to get aligned right. And so the sooner you can get those taken care of before you block them, the better off you're going to be. Now, unfortunately, I've got everything on the outside of the board taken care of and nothing on the inside of the board, so I'm having to fight that my way through this. So I'll have to make a note of this for future. I have about half the board done at this point, and so I apologize for losing that video. That was completely my fault. But I will pick up from here and show you the rest of the solder up of this. Alright, so here's where I'm at. I've got all of the connections for C complete. I've got the connections for D started. I still have the majority of the out perimeter power that needs to be completed. I've got a good part of A done, except for the center pieces here. I've got a good part of B done, except for the power and center or outside pieces here. But I want to wrap up D here, and that's going to be my next challenge. So while I'm over ambitious and continue to try to do too much at once and struggle with all the fiddling that needs to happen, you'll also notice that I stopped using the Kapton tape in order to hold things together. That actually ended up getting in the way because it was picking up dust from absolutely everything. The tape is so sticky, it just picks up anything that comes anywhere near it. So it ultimately, after 1 or 2 uses, ended up getting in the way, and therefore I decided to just simply hold everything in place and flip the board over. It turned out to work quite well for the rest of the solder up, so it was a good choice. Okay, that's it. That was the last socket to go in. What's left are the capacitor. This is the bulk capacitor. The two USB-A connectors for distributing power to other boards, and then the USB-B, which is the inbound. These are inbound power, I should say. These are on the way, and I expect those in 2 days. And in the meantime, I can put the bulk decoupling cap on. I think I'll go ahead and do that today. And this is a 1000 microfarad capacitor. And quite literally, it's just a couple of quick solder joints here. Okay, I held off publishing this video. I had just about everything wrapped up, but a couple of things. I did end up getting the USB connectors, which is good. And then down here, I realized I forgot a couple of solder connections. So I need to get those put together, and I'm going to do that today. So now I should be able to plug this in here and plug that into my USB power distribution. And then later, when I get another one of these backplanes built, I should be able to plug in there and plug that in and distribute power to the next one, or over here as the case may be. So that should give me plenty of power distribution, I'm hoping, to be able to get all of my different backplanes powered. Now it's going to be just a matter of a whole lot of continuity testing to make sure that I've got everything actually properly connected and no bridges. I won't subject you to that. Well, I think all in, it took me 5 or 6 hours to solder up this one register backplane. I've got 2 more I need to do from this batch, plus I've got a number of interconnects that I need to get soldered up as well. So I'm nowhere close to done with this. I also need to do 18 registers, plus I need to get one of the fetch registers soldered up as well. So there's going to be a lot of work to do. I don't know that I want to record the same thing 18 times, and so I'm probably going to be working on this in the background, which may slow up some of my videos. So it may end up taking a little bit longer to get each video out, simply because I'm doing so much work in the background. The next video here is going to be related to the ALU. I need to extend those flags off to the control module and then turn around and interpret those flags to determine what instructions get executed and what instructions don't. And then I've got a lot of testing to do related to that. So I want to get that extended to the control module in the next video. And then when I come back to the breadboards, I'm going to solder up one of the general purpose registers and get that tested and make sure that it works the way I need it to. I will replace the program counter with that, which means I need to integrate all of this together, both the breadboards and the PCBs. So look for those coming up, and thanks. We'll see you soon.